Hello, my name is Danielle Cardis. I am a celebrity chef and a cookbook author, and I'm thrilled to be here once again with the great American community. And today we are making a chicken pot pie, but not just any chicken pot pie, a cheddar drop biscuit chicken pot pie of your dreams and my dreams. So let's get into it. So the first thing we're gonna do, what you're gonna do is get some rotisserie chicken. You can use leftover chicken, you can do whatever you want, but I've got about 2 to 2.5 cups of my shredded rotisserie chicken. I have carrots and celery, fresh herbs, and here's all the goodies for the crust. But the first thing we're gonna do is get this chopped up. I'm gonna chop my onion. I'm gonna take my herbs off their stems. I'm gonna show you a really fun little trick to do with this in just a moment. But what I love is a pot pie. It happens to be one of my dad's very favorite foods. My kids love it. My husband loves it. Today we were getting ready to make this. I said, listen, I want to put rosemary in this. I know it's not your favorite. Are you going to be mad? He's like, I won't be mad. So if you don't love fresh herbs, you can skip them, but I had to do this for the good of the cause. So Mike understands. This is a great place to use up leftover vegetables too. Do you have zucchini? Do you have mushrooms? Do you have leeks? Do you have corn? Do you have potatoes? I mean, it's really choose your own adventure as far as veggies go. But today I'm keeping it pretty traditional. I'm doing the carrot, celery, onion, and then we're going to do the peas at the end. No potatoes because we're doing the biscuits here for me today, so that's all I need. Let me get these guys all chopped up, and I will be right back with you. Okay, so I've got the carrots chopped, the celery chopped, the onions chopped. I've got peas here, frozen peas. I love petite peas. They're my very favorite. I've got some Parmesan cheese for the gravy, so it's going to be rich and delicious. We're going to do some half and half and chicken stock. I've got a little bit of flour and then my chicken, of course. Then we're going to pop back over here and make this very simple drop biscuit. You guys are going to be amazed at how quickly this comes together. It's really a lot of fun. So it's perfect for back to school. You're going to enjoy this all fall long and even into the winter. This is also something that could be really great for Christmas morning or even like an easy Christmas Eve dinner. So let's get started. Okay, if you've never made a homemade gravy or a roux, this is going to be really fun and interesting to you. So I've got 4 tablespoons of butter going over medium-high heat. I'm going to add just a swirl of olive oil just to bring that cooking fat up to temp. And now I'm going to add my onions. And I'm just going to put my carrots and celery right in. You really want everybody to get nice and translucent and delicious in that butter and oil. And if I season right now with a little bit of salt, that's going to actually help my vegetables to sweat. So once your veggies get cooking, get everything in there, go ahead and season these guys. Pretty liberal with a little kosher salt and some cracked black pepper. That's about a half teaspoon. Get this all nice and mixed in. I've got some pretty fresh herbs here. So these are woodsy. And when I talk about a woodsy herb, it means something that's actually a little bit woody on the stalk. But the cool part is when they're very tender like this and bendy, you can throw the whole thing in. Everything is edible. When they start to get a little bit more tough, like here at the bottom, all you have to do is pull the leaves opposite the stem. Look at this. And then you've got these tender leaves. I'm going to put all that in here. And this top part is so tender, we can just put the whole thing in. This, you can pop it into the gravy so it continues to flavor, or you can just put it in your compost pile or the garbage. What we're doing is we're actually toasting these herbs. We're warming them up, we're bruising the oils, we're cooking them, getting them hot, so that they sort of perfume the entire gravy that we're going to make. We're just about ready to add our flour. And if it looks a little dry, I mean, this obviously it looks very, very moist, but if it looks dry in regards to making the roux, you can go ahead and add another little turn of olive oil. I want just a little bit more fat. And then right here, I've got some flour. So what's going to happen is the fat is going to mix with the flour and it's going to create a paste. We don't want it to be super, super thick because it's going to really, we want it to be a little juicier because the biscuits are going to absorb some of that gravy. If it's too thick, everything will sort of be glumpy and dry. So we do want this to be a little looser. So what I'm going to do is add this to the top, shake our flour in, about 1/3 cup. And then you want to mix this fairly quickly so you don't get lumps. But look at this. Do you see how it's absorbing the flour, but it's still nice and loose? Nothing's creating a paste. And we want to keep that texture. Okay, next comes the chicken stock. I'm going to add this slowly. This is 4 cups right here. Just go ahead and smoosh them on out. I didn't add all 4 cups yet. I want to start to thicken and mix, see where we're at. That's a great part. You can always add more liquid. You can't take it out. So just kind of want to see where we are, see how it thickens. It's going to take about 5 minutes to thicken. So we add the chicken and the peas last because we don't want to pulverize them. Chicken can get very stringy and overcooked really quickly. So what we want to do is we want to keep it intact and add it very, very last. So it's going to be the very last part. We're going to add the Parmesan cheese. Then we'll do the peas for the same reason. We just don't want to overcook them. They're going to spend an hour, almost an hour in the oven. They definitely don't need to be knocked around in the gravy. Okay, so next goes the cream and the cheese. I'm gonna eyeball it. I'm a professional. I mean, really let your heart decide how much cream you wanna add, but we're gonna do half and half, probably a half a cup. Swirl them right in. And then we're gonna add our Parmesan cheese, which is about 1 cup of grated Parmesan. And look at that, it gives that really creamy, beautiful texture that you're used to with the chicken pot pie. Oh, it's so good. And this is exactly what we are looking for in terms of the consistency of the gravy. So it does look like it's on the thinner side, but trust me, this is really going to thicken up when we go into the oven with our biscuits on top. The biscuits are also going to absorb some of this. So we definitely don't want it any thicker than this, but trust me, it's going to be very thick once it comes out of the oven. The last thing I have is my shredded chicken and my peas. So in goes the chicken. All that chicken. You can do white meat, dark meat. This is also fun. You can do beef. You can do pork. You can do ground meat. Really, whatever you have. You can also skip the meat if you're not a meat fan. We're going to gently fold this in. Like I said, remember how we really don't want to break that chicken up. We want it to stay in those nice, beautiful, meaty chunks. So this is perfect. Okay, be careful with this part because your pan is very hot. And don't be afraid to touch right down in there so you don't get lots of splatter. And that is gorgeous. Okay, best part. So the biscuits, I mean, I don't know. Do I like the biscuits more or the gravy more? I really can't decide. I like the crispy biscuit and the tender, like the little tender underside of the biscuit. You know what? I like the perfect bite. So it's going to be both for me. And what we're going to do to get this started is I've got 2 cold sticks of butter. And they're not super cold because I've been working and filming this, but you do want your butter to be nice and cold. You can cut them up into cubes if you want to. When I'm using the mixer, it sort of does all that wonderful work for me, so I never really worry about that. We've got our flour to go right on top of the butter to cut right in. And baking powder, this is essential. And you don't see me measuring very much, but I will measure for things like this. So I'm gonna do a nice heaping tablespoon. Oh, this is kind of fun. Did you know that a heap tablespoon means that it's got sort of a rounded top and it's not level? A level tablespoon is just like that. So when a recipe calls for a heap tablespoon or a heap teaspoon, you actually just want it not level, but a little bit rounded. So it's kind of fun, the more you know. All right, so here we go, in with our tablespoon. And then I'm just gonna mix this just real gently to get that mixed in. Ooh, and it's very important to have salt. We always want salt. Good, nice, about a half a teaspoon of salt. And then I'm going to stop this. I'm going to add our cheese. We have a lot of cheese going into here, at least 2 cups. And we sort of treat the cheese like the butter. 2 cups of cheese. Boom. Perfect. I'm going to reserve just a little bit to sprinkle on top of the biscuits because I think that will look really nice for presentation. And then in goes our sour cream. And what we're looking for is little tiny crumbles. Let's turn this on. We don't want to overwork our flour. Oh, turn them on too high. You don't want to overwork your flour because then your biscuit's going to become tough. So just keep watching in here. When it looks sort of shaggy, then I'm going to use my half and half as the binder. And then don't be afraid to stop. Keep checking. Make sure you're taking all this good stuff off of the paddle so that we have an even mix. But look at this. Already, it's looking fantastic. Get this in here, all that good stuff. And again, we've got our shaggy dough. Turn them on. And this is going to help with the drop portion. You really don't shape these. You take a spoon and you spoon them right on top, like a dumpling on top of the gravy. It smells like heaven. The cheese is so good. Let's give it one nice good beat. Move everything around. and we're done. Perfection. Look at this. This is the exact consistency you want. Just sort of look at that. It's hugging the paddle. Now I'm going to go get my gravy and show you guys how to drop this on. And wash my hands too. Okay, so here we've got our beautiful gravy. And then you're looking for a little bit bigger than a loose golf ball. That's like the size of a plum. We're just going to start tucking these guys in all over the top. Don't be afraid if they sink a little bit because they're going to puff up with that baking powder and almost the tops will be crispy. They're sort of like icebergs where you've got a little bit on top, you got a little bit down below too. And don't be afraid to have them touch because then they sort of create this whole sort of little floating web. Look at this. My kids absolutely love this. And like I said, I want you guys to be versatile with what you have. If you don't have cheddar cheese, you can skip it. If you don't have sour cream and you have buttermilk, you can absolutely do that. I'm really such a fan of recipes that utilize what you have on hand. Do you have ground turkey? Use your ground turkey. These are going to sink. They're going to make sure they're going to bring the gravy level up and you don't want overflow and spillage. So it's always really good to put this on a sheet lined with parchment papers for easy cleanup. But you don't want this to sort of like bubble over. So you don't want them too full. Make sure you're using a nice big enough pan. You're going to need that 9 by 13. Let me get all these little bits here. Every little last one. Make sure it looks nice and even. We're going to take some of our cheese and sprinkle them all across the top. That's going to get brown and gorgeous. And this is going to go into the oven for around 45 minutes. And then I'm going to check him. See if he needs any more time. You want those biscuits completely cooked, but I like them nice and toasty on top. Okay, here we go. We got this bad boy right out of the oven. It smells like heaven. I can't even begin to tell you. Look at, okay, so when you get in here, I want you to see how the biscuits just really puff up. They look absolutely beautiful. It's got the perfect amount of gravy. I'm gonna go ahead and dish some up. And I wonder if you can see the texture of the biscuit. Like it's perfect. Oh my gosh. Then we have the gravy in here. Do you see how it thickened up? I mean, I love that it's still gravy and it's not so like gloopy and thick that you don't get like that perfect biscuit. You know what? Let's just go ahead and put another little biscuit on top here. And you can almost hear the crisp. Look at that. Oh my gosh, it's just so pretty. So here's a nice big portion. Here comes the chef and me wanting to fix that little bit. And then look at this. I want you to come in and get a nice close up. And because I'm using lemon thyme and it's just like the bright, fresh little bits. And then we're just going to put a little bit on top. And lemon thyme is actually a type of thyme. It's not as strong as regular thyme or English thyme. It just has this bright lemony flavor and it is perfect with the pot pie. Look how pretty it looks. It looks gorgeous. You guys, here we go. And I'm going to take a picture of this one. So let me get a spoon or a fork and taste it. It's so hot. But look how fluffy the biscuit is. Comfort food at its finest. Happy fall, you guys.